Well, all this week we've been looking at how fast and how far China has developed over the past 40 years. And that's especially the case when it comes to trade with Latin America. China is the region's second largest trading partner. That includes over 100 Chinese civil engineering projects. Beijing is aiming to invest up to $250 billion in the Americas by 2025. Well, for more on that, let's bring in Gaston Fornes. He's a senior fellow at the University of Bristol in the UK and a specialist on relations between China and Latin America. He joins us now live from Madrid. Dr. Fornes, one of the ways we've seen these ties play out has been how China, these large-scale infrastructure projects that China's funding in Latin America. Tell us about some of the biggest or most significant.
Okay, good evening from Madrid. Well, the presence of China and its companies in Latin America is being felt in the region since probably 10 or 15 years ago. We have seen several investments, not only in infrastructure projects. We have seen investments in energy, in mining, in electricity, and these are changing the shape of the structure of the economy in Latin America. Probably one of the first examples was one of the largest ports in Brazil to take out of some of the iron ore from the northern part of the country. And there are some other plans, for example, for the link between the Pacific and Atlantic, especially crossing the Amazon. These are still being developed, but the important thing is that they are helping a region with a lack and weak infrastructure to improve its economy. I mean, just as a comparison, it is cheaper to ship a cargo from Brazil to Miami than what it is to ship from Brazil to the Pacific.
How important do you think the region is for Xi Jinping's Belt and Road Initiative?
Well, Latin America is not officially, at least, part of the Belt and Road Initiative, but it is very important because it is one of the main suppliers of raw materials for its development. Also because Latin America is a large market, it is also an important part of the strategy for the growth of China. What we see here is that, as I said before, 10, 15 years ago, many Chinese companies started operating in Latin America, and now they have become, you mentioned before, the second largest trading partner. But in some countries, China is the first trading partner. So this is the important thing is that this is a major change in the direction of trade, when traditionally has been Europe, first the US and then Europe. So it is a major player, although not one that is not officially in the list of beneficiaries. Another thing that you can see is that there are many Latin American countries participating in the AIIB bank, to develop and fund the Belt and Road Initiative.
That's right. And Mexico, of course, got a new president this month, and Andrés Manuel López Obrador, AMLO, has said he might pivot his country, adding them on to the Belt and Road Initiative. What sort of net gain do you think that might bring to a country like Mexico?
Well, in the case of Mexico, Mexico is one of the countries with the largest trade deficit with China. So I can assume that the main intention of Mexico now is to reduce this trade deficit. Although one can say that this trade deficit is basically because there are many Chinese imports that then become in finished goods and go to the US. So the idea of Mexico here is to improve its position as a manufacturer, or probably as improve the value chain of different companies with links from China, using as the final destination the US market.
And finally, I want to ask you about Brazil's president-elect, Jair Bolsonaro, has toned down some of his rhetoric, some of his criticism on China since he was elected last month. But of course, his country is the bee in BRICS. So what's China to make of him?
Well, Brazil has been the largest recipient of foreign investment from China in Latin America by far. And the links, the economic links between China and Brazil, or Brazil and China, as you prefer to say, they are very strong. Even when we see different presidents in Latin America, in Brazil and Argentina a couple of years ago, in Chile or in Mexico, as you mentioned before, it is difficult to avoid the importance of the investments and the trade. As I said, Brazil is the largest recipient by far of Chinese investments, and also around 10 or 15% of external debt in Brazil is owned by the Chinese. So this creates a strong link where the trade and the economy are playing a big role. Of course, presidents can make decisions on how on their strategy to grow for their countries, but I don't see, at least in the short term, a big shift, a big change in the direction of the relations between Brazil and China. And as I said, also, Brazil is the big in the BRICS, so it is important that they play together. I mean, Brazil and China have been working together in the World Trade Organization and also in the G20 for many years. So unless there is some major change, it's difficult to foresee in the short term at least a change in the relations now.